Good morning and welcome to the November 13th meeting of the Transient Guest Tax Committee. All of the members are present, so first thing to discuss is the minutes. Are there any corrections?
I did not see any. I would move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Okay, let's move on to the presentations. I haven't looked to see who's here. I don't see Chris. Is anyone here for Constitution Hall? Okay, well, I guess I'll give you a quick update. Well, they gave us, oh, Josh, you're first, sorry. We'll do that presentation, then I'll do that.
I may have to forward it to Dan real quick, unless, Tanya, did you forward the presentation to Dan?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is just our quarterly update for the TGT. I'll kind of fly through this since not much has changed since last time. We did add one slide. So this slide is just going for the history of the resolutions on how we have a 7% TGT tax and where that all goes. So obviously, just as a review, 1% goes to Sunflower Soccer, 1% goes to those four organizations on the screen. Now we did replace Evil Knievel. Now those dollars are going towards the Evergy Ice Rink Plaza. And then 5%, most of that goes to the Visit Topeka, and 10% of the 5% goes to our general fund. Now, this is the summary of distribution to date compared to what they received back in the day for their budget. Numbers kind of speak for themselves, and then the 1% for the organization sunsets at the end of 27. And then last time, and I don't think we covered this publicly, it was sent in an email, but we were asked to, where are we tracking on collections and to when the actual collection date would sunset in 27. So obviously COVID kind of stifled some things in terms of collections. So the delta, as you see on your screen, is if using pretty conservative projections, each organization would be short in what we were projected to give them in terms of collections versus budget. Now that's, hopefully I'm wrong on all that and we get more money coming in because these are pretty conservative projections, but this is something we'll monitor as we get through the duration through the end of 27, because we still have about 9 more quarters to collect. But this is just giving an idea to the committee and then the future makeup of the committee of where we're at with collections and see where we stand. So we'll update that each time we meet. And then finally, as said earlier, with Evil Knievel's departure, all of that money is now going towards the Evergy Plaza Ice Rink project, and then also the special assessment for the sewer lines on the Sunflower Soccer project. The last year of that payment is in 2026, so going forward, we don't have to be as cautious as making sure there's enough money in that fund to make sure there's money in that fund to pay those special assessments. So 27 and onward, it's just going to be, the only expense would be anything Sunflower Soccer plans to spend. So that's just some background, and I guess I'll just turn to the organizations to speak on their behalf.
Okay. Are there any questions for Josh? Okay. Seeing none, I think we're good, Josh. Thank you. Okay. Constitution Hall is first up. No one slipped in. Basically, all the building is completed. They are now, what money they have left in TGT funds will be going towards their permanent displays that they still have to figure out some of that and collect enough so they can get them paid. They're hoping that they'll have a good portion of those done by, I believe, into next year, and then it will be open pretty much on a full-time, well, their full-time hours. They have hired somebody to help with their events. So, looks like they're in good shape, and I don't believe they had anything else to say. I think everything was pretty up to date. So the next one up is Evergy Plaza.
Thank you, Kurt Young, with the Downtown Topeka Foundation Board, and also the Executive Director of the Topeka Lodging Association. I'm going to let the two quarterly reports that we presented several weeks ago stand for my primary comments today. In addition to the context of these reports, I would be remiss if I did not tell you that the Evergy Plaza has become every bit the catalyst and destination creation that we anticipated from day one. With the announcement that we just made Tuesday, and I'm going to ask him to show the two renderings that we presented Tuesday at the press conference. If you haven't seen them, that's a ground level view of the ice rink. And then the other rendering is an aerial view that gives you a pretty good perspective on what that space at the north end of the plaza will look like when the ice rink is complete. Thank you for showing those. 2025 has been a stellar year in terms of performance, and in conjunction with all of the other venues available and the plans that VTI has on the drawing boards, Topeka, in my mind, is at a crossroads. It's no secret that from an occupancy standpoint, we're not even close to where we need to be to maintain a hotel property and make the necessary improvements to keep it functional. The loss of Heartland Park's 6,000 room nights per year and the room loss due to the vacuum that's been created by Hotel Topeka being in its current state has been nothing short of, in my estimation, disastrous. However, I was always told never to talk about a problem without identifying a solution. With the groundwork that has been laid by the city for Hotel Topeka and the efforts and plans that Visit Topeka and Sean Dixon and his team have at Visit Topeka that they have on the drawing board for 2026 and beyond, the future looks very bright. The Topeka Lodging Association has been working closely with Sean and his staff on building a comprehensive plan to grow the Topeka market as a destination. At the end of the day, that is what it will take in order for us as a city to not only survive in the tourism market, but to grow beyond our expectations. With that groundwork that's been laid and the positive economic impact of a truly viable tourism market is something that we as a city cannot afford to take a pass on. So I want to leave this podium this morning, as I may not get another opportunity, to put in a request and a plug for the fact that one of the major issues that we're here to talk about today is the renewal of Visit Topeka's contract. And I want to ask that you all give your a resounding approval on that, as everything that we've worked on for the last, seems like the last 5 years, is coming to a head, and we're about to turn the corner. So I would make that request this morning. So kind of killed two birds with one stone, give you your update on the Evergy Plaza, but I wanted to take a minute and put in that request as well. So,
Okay.
questions?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, our next report comes, well, I've got two different ways, but I'm going to go to NOTO.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Pedro Concepcion, CEO of the NOTO Arts and Entertainment District. Our money allocation was a little unique to how we got our funding, but we focused on wayfinding and enhancement. I sent you a report of where all the money has been going to, and we have really tried to focus on enhancement and wayfinding. We ended up finishing our sidewalks this year and enhanced all of our murals, especially the Topeka mural that is very important, I feel, for tourism. That Topeka postcard mural, it's in everywhere that you see, from the city's website to the Lodging Association to even our own district. So it's very important for us to really highlight the culture and the art and not in our city and to showcase everything that we have for tourism. In this video that you can see on the TV, it'll show the progress that we have been doing since we have had the funding for TGT. So there is the bridge, that's phase 1. Phase 2 will be in 2026. Those are the sidewalks. That's how they look now. And it really created a great vibrancy for the district. That's the Topeka mural. It had a lot of structural issues, so we ended up fixing it and enhancing the colors of the mural as well. This is just a quick video. We also added the lights in the district. We really showcased the vibrancy of the district, and the community really came out and supported this. Through all these projects, we ended up having about 35 volunteers and a lot of people that showed up and proved to us that Topeka wanted a place for culture and arts, and we're just keep growing in that area. As you see in the video, the sidewalk mural really changed the area, and at night, NOTO just changed. We've anticipated now more visitors to our district. We calculate maybe around 266,000 in 2026, which will be an increase from this year alone. We are focusing on 4 events, which is the Red Bud Youth Festival, Summer Concert Series, Day of the Dead, and Winter Celebrations. And that's how the district looks right now with the lights. None of this could have been done without any type of TGT funding, so we are very appreciative of the funding that we've had. And just to showcase that, when given the opportunity, we can really showcase our district, not just for tourism, but for our residents as well, too. If you have any questions, I also send in all of our allocation for funding and expenditures, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Chair,
Go ahead.
thank you. Pedro, thank you for the video, because there's a couple of things that I want to say. As you know, we looked through the presentations, Constitution Hall, Evergy Plaza, the ice rink, Sunflower Sports, Visit Topeka, on and on. A lot of dollars have gone to those various entities and a number of entities over a lot of years, and I think that it has been well spent. I definitely think that what you all show at NOTO through those that live there and also have their businesses there, because you have a number of artists there, what you have shown is what is possible with so many times shoestring budget and the elbow grease that comes from people power. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, from the way that, the murals, which are so vibrant and expansive, what you've done on the sidewalks, what you're doing underneath the bridge. It's not like you're contracting out with all these huge entities to come in and do it. This is all being driven by the passion of the people that live and work in NOTO. So with that said, I want to say too, I think it's been a wonderful move for you to come on as director, because your vision is strong and it is being shown through what it is you all are doing in the collaboration that you have with others. So I just want to say, as we continue to go through this process on the committee, I believe that now is a time more than ever to find ways to show NOTO that appreciation, because for so long we know that a lot of it was, and I'm not saying by this committee, but there's been a lot of lip service to NOTO, but now we need to continue to show that we can come through with additional funding for you all. So I know that that's not a lot of questions. That's no question at all. That's really just comment. But I just want to say thank you for all that you were doing, not only for District 2, but for the entirety of Topeka. Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Sure. It looks fabulous. So I hope next year's work will just expand on that.
Yeah, we are actually focusing on creating more art and just figuring out ways to provide opportunities for our artists, because I think we're coming to a point where, our artists are believing in themselves and they're just looking for the opportunity just to showcase their talents. So we are focusing not just on NOTO, but trying to figure out how we can collaborate with DTI, with Visit Topeka. And Visit Topeka has been also a good champion of NOTO, helping us through, sponsorship for summer concert series and things like that. Like, they've been a lot of help. So we have identified that working together makes us stronger. So we're focusing on 2026 to making sure we collaborate and we step up to the plate in making sure that we can also provide any type of services that we can, just to raise our city.
Well, I'll put in a plug. It's not that far away from the first Friday in December, so good time to go Christmas shopping.
Yes, and actually, Saturday, November 29 will be winter celebrations. We'll have horse-drawn carriages, free hot cocoa and cookies, free pancake bites and things like that. And the district will be lit up with white and blue colors throughout the district to highlight winter. And then we have Small Business Saturday the next day. So we hope everybody comes down and shops for all those, small shops, pops, not just in NOTO, but downtown as well.
Thank you. Any questions or any comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Okay, next I will step back and go to Jayhawk Theatre. So, Joanne? Thank you.
Councilwoman Valdivia, we're sorry that we didn't have these digital, but we'll drop one off for you as well.
Christina, she's going to get a copy to you of our handout.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to update you on all the important work that's been happening over the past few months at the Jayhawk Theatre, and apologies that our event ended up landing on the rescheduled council meeting yesterday, so that you could not be there to see it in person, but it was a really fun event celebrating the completion of Phase 1, and the Alley Foundation restoration is finally complete. We have 400 pictures showing the work over the past several months, in a year, 18 months, and the slideshow that shows the complexity of the work, and every time they started on the next layer, they found more. They kept saying it's a 100-year-old building, nothing's been touched in 100 years. So just a few pictures to show you, so you can appreciate there's no injuries. 498 days, over 24 local firms, as when the theater was built, all by local people. And we have one strong foundation heading into Phase 2. And none of this would have happened without the support of, the list is in your packet, of all the people that stepped forward to help make this first phase happen. And TGT funds were among those early support that kept it going, especially during the hard times with COVID. That kept the lights on, and we appreciate it. So also in your packets, we have updated floor plans. We now have, through property acquisition and donation of space, 42,000 square feet. This puts the Jayhawk Theatre on the cusp of cutting edge, what other theaters are doing, who are often in their second and third restoration over the life of reopening, as many theaters closed as there was urban flight and downtown suffered, and then they were reimagined, reinvigorated, and then also helped bring their downtowns back to life. So we have lots of examples of that. Salina, great example. People go to the Stiefel and love it on a regular basis. The Jayhawk Theatre's floor plan is based on the Midland with open tiers and gives us flexible seating configurations. There's great theaters in Kansas City that everybody goes to, and Manhattan is on the cusp of a $40 million restoration with 400 seats. So we will be double that with, and the details are in your packet on the floor plans, about just under 1,000 seats seated and about 1,300 standing. And the significance of that is that in order to get the big artists, which everybody want, why can't we have those artists here? And how does Salina get those artists? And why can't we have that too? So we will. And as many of you know, when we only had 300 seats, and thanks to support from Visit Topeka and that robust entertainment run where we brought in national artists right before we closed, you know, we sold out. We had average of over 30% from outside of our community regularly that we were drawing in, and that's what other historic theaters do. So we are going to do that when we reopen. We just need to get this done and reopen. So the support has been tremendous, and we're really excited about the next phases. And also in your packet, talking about the pending requests and the commitments and the gap to get this done. So we will have an operating theater. We've already surpassed that milestone, and our goal now is to do it like we really want to do it and finish all the spaces. So when we open, we have 2 complete stages, 3 event and VIP, and that helps contribute to the earned revenue, a speakeasy in the basement. It's going to be fantastic. So every new dollar committed from this point forward leverages $2.02 in historic tax credits. So that's the significance of the rest of the funding to secure, because then that maximizes the available historic tax credits. So it's a long list of early supporters and advocates. We have, in 2025, we've secured over $1 million in new grant funding that will install an elevator and provide balcony access, and it's very complicated and very cool. So 2 levels, one goes to the concessions and one goes to the upper balcony seating. And I want to share with you the reason that happened is, okay, I should have practiced this. The reason that happened, and when you get our full updated report, I'll send it to the entire council because I want them to know this. It takes a village, and there have been many people over the years who kept this project alive, and it's very exciting that we are finally on the cusp, after years and years of all the hard work and dedication, going to get this done. So Kathy Duncan, who was involved from the beginning and many years, had incredible stories about the history. And we talked for hours, and she shared so much. And we were touring a grantor, and I'm just telling some of the stories Kathy had just told me, and they said, you need to apply for this grant. And because of that story that I shared that Kathy had told me, this is the elevator that's going in that grant that we got. So grateful for everybody who got us here. Sorry to be a little emotional. I am happy to answer any questions. I was trying to boil it down to the past 2 quarters. What are the top 10 highlights? And there are too many to list, but there has been a lot of great things that have happened. We also have another opportunity on the horizon that is a national opportunity that is big for Topeka and can leverage additional support. They require everybody working together, and so we want to maximize that and not leave that on the table. That would be an additional $2 million. We have gone through the past 6 months with them, 4 rounds moved to the final where they are no longer saying, hey, tentative commitments, they want firm commitments, and we're currently number 1 on their list, but that time frame is short. It's past due except for the government shutdown. So that slowed that process down, which is good, gives us a little bit more time. I am happy to answer any questions. Again, we are grateful for this support that got us here, and take the earned revenue, the tourism dollars, and everything very seriously, and being a good partner. And, the investment that you made in Evergy Plaza, over $3 million, when we put money into doing things right, that's significant, and that helps move the community forward. We have so many great things in the works in Topeka, and it makes me sad when people get down on it, and why can't we have nice things? And, that takes money, and it takes a commitment, and it takes hotels and people working tirelessly behind the scenes to get things done. So I probably exceeded my 5 minutes, sorry. I will, I'll be quiet and answer any questions.
Do you have any questions? Doesn't look like it. So I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, got that. Okay, next is Sunflower Sports.
Good morning. Thank you, committee members, for being here today. I'm TJ McDonald, the Executive Director of Sunflower. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update on our lighting project. As some of you remember, we received funds in order to install lights on our current turf field as well as a parking lot. Currently, right now, we were supposed to have the lights completed by September 12th. That did not happen due to some contractor issues and some employee turnover with them. One of the things that we understood is they are a smaller company on scale of the other companies that are out there, and obviously fit in our budget. And so with these issues that they ran into, it definitely affected them a lot more than it would a larger company. But I provided a timeline here that you can kind of see where things happened. We paid our deposit of roughly $222,000 in May, and they came out the following month to do soil samples. We had raw materials ordered, and then you see that there's kind of a gap there, and that's where they had some employee turnover. Our project manager that was handling the construction was no longer there, and things kind of went astray. But then the owner did come out in October to do a site visit. And now I just got word a few days ago that they have finished the engineering drawings for the lights. We still don't have a confirmed completion date on it, but I have been told that by the end of the year or just shortly after, the lights will be installed. We will for sure have them for our spring season moving forward. This has kind of created a blessing in disguise. As we talk with the contractor, kind of seeing what we can do to help speed this process along, make sure that we don't run into these issues again. We developed a plan to utilize local companies to do a lot of the labor, since that seemed to be kind of an issue on their end. It would also help save some of the costs as well of them not having to fly their own people in or put them up in hotels, things like that. So it has allowed us to reach out to local companies in order to do like the electrical work. Right now we have 2 companies that we're talking to that we're hoping will be a long-term partner on this project moving forward. So that's where we're at with the current lighting project. The other update too, that this wasn't essentially attached to these funds, but the council was gracious enough to encourage having our street improved, which has been fantastic. Everybody really appreciates that, and the potholes that were fixed. So I do want to say thank you on that. Does anybody have any questions regarding the project update?
Nope, looks like we're good.
Good, okay. And then the other thing that I just wanted to share is continued vision of our project, and a kind of a request for some additional support, explain why that is. my understanding on special assessments was essentially additional kind of upfront support on creating some of these or completing some of these larger projects. And one of the things that we wanted to look at was the completion of our phase 3, which would be, we're referring to as our quad. It is the largest portion of turfed area that we will have. We looked at before of cutting it up into 4 separate turf fields. After a discussion with Mammoth, it would actually be more cost effective to turf that entire area. Not only would it be more cost effective, but it would then allow us to manipulate the fields even more and not be in such a constraint on it. The reason that this quad area is so important is because that really opens up the opportunity to host additional events, state cup events, things that are actually currently being held in Missouri. So state events are actually being held in Missouri right now. To give you guys an idea, Stryker Field in Wichita just signed a 3-year deal with KSYSA for the President's Cup, and that will have an estimated $12 million direct economic impact with them. We have been in conversations with KSYSA in regards to the Junior State Cup, and they are waiting for us to complete our project in order to host it here indefinitely. So we don't have anything in writing yet, but we can obviously secure something if we can see that the project is moving forward in a timely fashion. The completion on this additional project for the quad area, I mean, it can move forward very, very quickly, especially now that we have kind of seen some of the issues that the lighting company ran into. We've worked around that. But the turf fields can go in between 4 to 6 months, weather depending, and the lights 2 to 4 weeks, weather dependent on that. And Mammoth would actually be the project manager in that instance. The cost of the fields, we do have some options here. If we did 4 fields that were cut up into a true quad section, it'd be about $3.4 to $3.9 million. If we turfed the entire area, it would actually go down a little bit to 3.3 to 3.8. And it just give you a reference of what our original phase 2 project would be. One field would be about $950,000 to $1.1 million. If we actually completed that phase 2 along with this, that price would drop dramatically because we wouldn't have to, Mammoth wouldn't have to mobilize their crews and everything because they would already be out there. Mammoth has also agreed that once we start this, whether it be one field or the larger area, they will also build an additional grass field in the back of our property, which we have it's undeveloped right now. So that would add an additional grass field as well. So the total request for this would, depending on the option that was selected that we felt was the best way, would be between 2 and 5.5 million in order to secure that area and really start bringing in additional revenue and having more of a direct economic impact on the city. And it would also provide an additional benefit to local teams and sports. Right now, there are only 3 lighted fields in Topeka that are affordable. Hummer is the 4th one, but their prices are quite high. So right now, it's for soccer, it is only Bettis, Seaman, and Washburn. Or excuse me, yeah, Bettis, Seaman, and Washburn. So this would really free up a lot more space for everybody when timing changes and the light, it gets darker. Everybody floods those areas trying to get time in, and it is a major cost on everybody. Just in the past months, we have spent close to $10,000 on rental fees. And in order for us to keep our prices low, this would definitely help out with that. We pride ourselves on wanting to be affordable to make sure that we are not pricing anybody out of having access to sports. I will say this, that from talking to other colleagues in the area, Kansas City, Wichita, even Emporia, they are starting to grow, and they have seen that, and they agree that Topeka is about 10 years behind in this area. Topeka used to be the hotbed of youth sports, and inadvertently we have kind of let other communities in the surrounding areas surpass us on that. And so we firmly believe and are confident that this expansion will then jump us back into being more competitive in that industry. Alongside of the great work that Topeka Area Sports Commission has done in other areas, we would really be back on top. Just questions or concerns on anything?
Christina? Nope, guess not. No, I think we're good for right now.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a question for Josh,
Oh,
or a request. All right, it's not really a question, it's just a request. If you could put something together for us, because obviously the Sunflower soccer arrangement is very different than everybody else's. Could you do like a memo for us on how much longer that current deal is through, what it takes to renew that or not? I mean, because I know that's a different step. And then what the projections are for the terms of that, what's spoken for, what's not spoken for. So we kind of have an accounting, as it were, for the length of that deal, how much money is going to be there or not there. So as we look at requests like this, we know what's available versus what's not available over the time period. Does that make sense?
Yep, no, I was talking to TJ last night.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that would be really helpful, I think, for us to conceptualize what's there, not there, and
Yep.
what that one looks like. Thank you.
Okay. Next is our Visit Topeka update.
Thank you for letting me sit for this one. It's kind of a lengthier update with the contract thing in here. And I do want to just sort of start by thanking my colleagues in the room for your kind words in our direction and commend you for the passion and the commitment you have to your individual verticals and operations. It's a pleasure working with you and fighting alongside you on that one. And these guys worked really, really hard on it. I'm glad you guys get to see that in these updates. I have a slide deck in here. I also have our Q3 report in here. Just a comment on that report, because in talking with Councilwoman Hofer earlier this week, there's a lot of detail that we provide. We provide a lot of detail every quarter to you guys. The reporting is comprehensive, so your Q3 report will include the numbers from Q2 and Q1, so don't feel the need to go back and read the whole complete saga, if you will. But we are at a contract renewal portion of what we're doing here. So I have a presentation kind of covering our activity over the last year, how we sort of approach the work that we're contracted to do on your behalf, and sort of what we have sort of on the horizon for us as well. I was told about 5 to 10 minutes. I can't really even introduce myself in 5 to 10 minutes, so I'm going to try, as these guys have seen in my board meetings, it's difficult. I will try to cover a lot of ground quickly, but I'm prepared to answer anything at length or in any capacity that you would like me to within this. Visit Topeka is a C6 nonprofit corporation. We are accredited within our industry, and we have multiple staff accreditations at the international level. Thank you, Dan. Including 2 CDMEs on the staff. I'm one of those. That is a Certified Destination Management Executive through Destinations International. It takes about 4 years to acquire that. And Mike Bell in the room acquired his this year as well. So we're really proud of the qualified staff that we have working on your behalf, that is always up on industry trends and thought leaders in what we do in this state and around the country as well. We're also part of the Greater Topeka Partnership. Molly Howie, our CEO, is in the room. We're proud of that affiliation. That affiliation, we like to believe stronger together, but it creates some efficiencies for us from a budgeting standpoint to make sure these dollars are spent efficiently. And it creates multiple layers of new oversight we wouldn't otherwise have. I think it's very important to how we manage our finances. At a 10,000-foot level, this is what we're here to do. We promote Topeka. We encourage development on the tourism side, and we're here to make sure that prosperity of our citizens is felt and driven through the hospitality and leisure sector of our economy. As was talking about earlier, so we get a significant portion of the base 5% transient guest tax, 79% to our operations, 11% is set aside in an encumbered account. This is often confused with a BID because it's a bid fund, but this is a specific allocation that we have that is for attracting large citywide events, conferences, exhibitions, and things that would dramatically impact the overall landscape of what we have here. I do have to have special approval for those expenses per our board bylaws. So outside of our operational funding, there is a second level of oversight per expense. Anything above $10,000, I get special board discussion on that one as well. And of course, just a comment about our board, the city of Topeka does have an ex officio position on that board currently held by Councilwoman Ortiz, but it is part of that oversight as well. And within our city contract, so the city reporting, the quarterly reporting that is in your packet that we provide, That is outlined in Exhibit A of that agreement, what we need to provide, which is why it's such a lengthy report, but we appreciate the transparency. So if it does feel like there's a lot in there, it is per contract, and how I've sort of structured our things here. So per contract, we provide a P&L statement on a quarterly basis that is approved by our board on a quarterly basis, so you get exactly what they get for that approval process. And while I won't dive into that, I do want to make note that in our budgeting process, we have a very thorough sort of set of checks and oversight within this. Not only do we develop that in conjunction with our staff that has full input on that, our board of directors approves that, then it goes to another committee within the partnership that is made of all the finance chairs of each board that blesses that consolidated budget. And then of course the Chairs Council, the Greater Topeka Partnership, has another layer of oversight in that voting as well. So due diligence with a capital all letters in that is very important to how we account financially for your investment. We also report quite regularly on the activity of the hotels, and we get weekly reporting that shows daily incremental impact, the actual numbers sold in the market on a weekly basis, and then a consolidated report from our vendors on a monthly basis. Those are in your packet, and we have quite a lot of history within that as well, and I'll talk a little bit about sort of the numbers that are in there and sort of the things that we look for within this. Within our contract, there is a comparison note for the last 5 years on a rolling basis, which we do, but we do still have a pandemic tied up in that 5-year mark. So we look at the 5 years prior to the pandemic as more of sort of a real indicator of where we're at in this process. I will say we've excelled at getting our average daily rate up to a competitive point. We'd have been about $10 less per room than our comp set in terms of our average daily rate going into the pandemic. So coming out of that, we saw that go up dramatically to make us more competitive, which has held, which has been great. But we are still dealing with room demand that has not quite met the pre-pandemic levels yet. In fact, we still very much have a pandemic mindset in some instances, how we conduct business and what we do. We make sure that our board meetings have a remote component to them. A lot of our board members are hoteliers, attractions, and restaurants that can't get away from their front desks yet because staffing hasn't quite returned yet. So we're very accommodating there, but that is something that we track as a result of this. I did not have time to get this into the packet. I actually received this from my research firm this week, but what we've experienced here is a national trend, certainly within our comp set, but we have national numbers showing that tourism and travel has softened, especially in 2025 with economic headwinds. But we do feel strongly that we're well positioned going into 26 to make a lot of recovery with those, with some of the large groups that we've been working with. And of course, these attractions that have been offline for a couple of years now coming online, such as the expansion of the Discovery Center, which we celebrated last week, the State History Museum cutting their ribbon after 2 years on the 22nd of this month. We're very eager to have these things back in the market again and with us for the World Cup. Don't read the numbers, please don't read the numbers. Well, this is why we do heat maps. So I wanted to show this in here. This is sort of a history of transient guest tax collections back to 2012. So we've seen sort of a steady increase, as you can see within that sort of heat map in there. And that is as a result of two things, sort of competing with each other in this. This is monthly demand going back 20 years. You can see we really peaked as a market in 08 with 600,000 rooms sold, in excess of 600,000 rooms sold. But by and large, we've sort of evened out at about 540 to 550,000 rooms sold in a given year. That has remained flat for us coming out of the pandemic, with obviously a lot of concern around our group business. As was stated by our previous speakers, sports has done well for us. We've invested a lot of time and effort in sports and creating a whole new working committee, the Sports Commission, to help us with that work. But Hotel Topeka and that work to strengthen our convention business, our association business, to really pick up what we see here as sort of a lack of Q1 business is essential to that portfolio and that overall impact as well. We have an internal goal of getting us back to 600,000 rooms eventually, and Kurt's nodding over here. Right now, I'm looking to get to 550, and we're going to probably end this year at about 525 to 530. So I think with the projects coming online, the work that this city council has done with the private industry, that we should be able to attain that here in the next couple of years. And this, when you look at this in conjunction with our rate increases, so just looking at this heat map in terms of where we were historically with our average daily rate, you can see that accelerated dramatically coming out of the pandemic. That we saw that inflation hit before really any other vertical, any other prices going up. So we had the advantage of coming out first on that and it being rather transparent locally. Our visitors and guests pay that, our local residents don't. So we were thrilled to see this, but if you look at overall sort of revenue, you're gonna see what I see as just a complete sort of merging of these two, where sort of waning demand, but still competitive with a dramatic increase of rate, and that's why this overall chart of monthly revenue looks the way it does. So we're doing well on revenue, but it is masked by higher prices. If we can get demand up to where we want it to be, we're in a better position to make sure that these hotel rooms are performing for the community through these tax collections. Any questions on hotel performance as I take a swig of water here? Okay. A big part of what we do as a destination marketing organization is marketing. That is my background, sort of why I was recruited to this market, having run marketing for Springfield, Missouri for a decade, and being a competitor of yours. I understand the impact of messaging and what we've done here, and I think we've done quite amazingly well with limited resources here in Topeka from a branding and messaging standpoint over the last 3 years in particular. We run essentially the ad campaign on behalf of the city. This was our visitor's guide release in 2024, unveiling sort of a new sort of community broad campaign, our See Free Be Yourself in Topeka campaign that did amazingly well for us. I show these because it really kind of highlights the amount of people that came together to allow us to produce these assets. We hosted an entirely fake parade in front of the Capitol building at the end of 2023, and we had an amazing turnout of community groups, religious organizations, fraternal organizations, Washburn University's cheerleaders that made our cover there, which was pretty amazing, but local high school bands, which were on there as well. It was really quite a thing. And this also highlights our commitment to a diversification of our messaging and our audiences. We put in Spanish language translation on all of our digital assets starting in 21, and we started printing everything in Spanish as well with unique covers and messaging the year after that, and that has remained consistent with this year's publication, where we were highlighting not only the reopening of the State History Museum later in the year, which was that photo on the left, but continuing to highlight our Latina heritage on there, which is great imagery, talking about Fiesta and all that wonderful stuff there as well. We are incredibly efficient and good at distributing these things. I've, in previous roles in years past, seen people, literally recycle pallets of these things, which to me, you might as well just put a stack of cash on there and recycle that. Which is what we would have done. So as much as we spend producing this, we spend almost as much, if not more, distributing this thing. So we had 85,000 copies of these publications in total arrive at our door in March, and we were effectively completely out of that inventory by the end of August. Our distribution network is quite huge. Sandy Tucker and our information center really is our point of contact with theirs. We have local distributors, we have national distributors, and everything in between. And this thing is present in doctor's offices, waiting rooms. It really is above and beyond a visitor's guide, a city guide, and is an informative piece for residents alike. And we think that support of that is showing sort of that hunger to make sure that people know what's going on in their community and that they're well represented, which we feel like we do quite good work on there. From a co-op standpoint, I know Councilmember Ortiz in the past has really been appreciative of the billboard work we have done. We actually have contracts on 14 billboards throughout the region into Missouri as well. 12 of those boards are set aside for a cooperative marketing program that we put together with the Discovery Center, with the zoo, and originally Evel Knievel, but with them leaving the market, Washburn University has stood up and helped us with that cooperative agreement as well. So we pay for half of the rental of all these boards. The organizations pay for the other half, but as you can see, it's very much them. We just sort of put a spine of Topeka on the side to keep a consistent look on there. But this has been a great partnership for us, and one of these great instances of us taking what is otherwise 100% funded transient guest tags operation and creating a cooperative marketing where we're sharing resources and turning $1 into $2, regardless of who we're working with in there, which we're very proud of as well. It's not all those billboards. We actually set aside 2 of those boards. They're east of Topeka, facing east for westbound 70 traffic from Lawrence commuting into Topeka. But we set these aside. We pay the full rental on them. We just ask community organizations to help pay for the vinyl wraps on them, which is hundreds of dollars and not thousands of dollars that we contribute to the rental of those. And that's where we've been able to support local community groups. Everything from the Kansas Book Festival earlier this year. We use those for Fiesta, for shows at TPAC, the event center. We have willing partners that have those things. We want to make sure that outside people driving on I-70 know about, that we've reserved that inventory and use our resources to make their dollars go much faster within this as well. There's some snippets of our social media campaign. Everything we put in our visitor's guide becomes its own ad product for us. And one of the recent changes we made this year to our staff was we now have a full-time social media manager. That had been responsibilities that had been sort of spread out amongst our marketing team. But we saw repeatedly, after the 5 years I've been here, people coming up and saying, I had no idea that was going on. I had no idea this was going on. So we've identified sort of a void of knowledge of what's happening for Topekans by Topekans here. And our social media has gone very well at sort of helping to close that gap. We've seen 1,000% increase in overall impression engagement rate, which is off the charts for what we do, by just having that person dedicated to that. And Brent has done fantastic work and been a great community asset as we've worked together on a multitude of things, highlighting our stories where we can through our social media channels, both on what we have for our own followers and, of course, our paid channels that we use through our vendor Cohort Digital, which is a fantastic partner for us on that front. It's not all digital. We do some print, not a lot of it, but we support the State of Kansas Tourism Guide and their Kansas Magazine, and so we're always in Kansas Magazine as an example of that ad on the left, but we also are not completely leisure focused. We have Mike Bell in the room, who's our sports sales manager as well. Melissa Sowers back at the office is our VP of convention sales. And the ad on the right is a KSAE ad that we always support with our local and regional planners to make sure that they know what we have available to them and that we're constantly showing that support, especially knowing you guys have made a significant investment in Hotel Topeka. We've made sure that those relationships are well maintained and well taken care of so that when we're ready to sell this thing, that we have a Rolodex of clients ready to go on that. And that has been part and parcel of that process throughout the years that I've been here. We also do some really fun digital stuff. So the one that's all stark white there is our sort of main website. We do obviously maintain digital products, but we create one-offs where we can, or special campaign sites. So good representation of Dino Days and that microsite on the left. To the left of the top city one, the Prairie Pour Tour was a regional collaboration we did with our Metal Coalition. We put a joint ale trail together and ran that for 2 years. And our team ran point on the marketing and the site development of that internally. So that was an internal product. And then I throw that last one on there on the left, just knowing the mayor's remarks at the docking building's ribbon cutting here recently. He brought up the now outgoing mayor of New York's comments about Topeka and his response. And I wanted to point out there that we weren't going to let that hang out there as well. So within 24 hours of those remarks, we launched a sweepstakes package that was targeted to the 5 boroughs of New York. We got picked up in the New York Post promoting that thing. We had 2,000 New York residents register for that sweepstakes. Vivian, our winner, was here that summer last year. Got a chance to meet with the mayor, go to the air show, see some fantastic things, and has since come back on her own dime. So as we get examples of trying to punch up and making sure that Topeka's reputation is sterling across the country, we do play a role in that, and that was a very fun thing that Kansas Tourism participated with us, and it was an instant ask. They gave us some additional funds to help support that, and that was all launched within 24 hours of that comment. Per our contract, we report on digital metrics, but I wanted to make sure that was all in there to show that it is not restricted to that. But with what we saw, this is calendar year last year's sort of increase. We're riding on par with that this year. And seeing the social media numbers dramatically increase. But when we launched that campaign that I mentioned earlier, you can kind of see that spike after February in the dark blue. That was the attention that we had garnered digitally from that campaign that we saw sustained throughout the year. And I put this on here. This is an HSMAI Adrian Award, the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. Did I get that right, Mike? We consider these sort of the gold standard, the Oscars for our industry on an international basis. In 10 years in Springfield, Missouri, I think we won 2 or 3 of these. In the last 5 years, we've won 5 of them on behalf of Topeka and their marketing efforts. So we're internationally recognized for what we've done on your behalf. Excuse me. Not to mention the state recognitions we've garnered on an annual basis through TIAC. And a few years back, our Dino Days campaign was listed as the best campaign in North America by the North American Travel Writers Association, which was a very big honor for us as well. It's not all about awards. The proof is in the pudding for us. We retain a research firm, H2R Market Research, who I alluded to earlier, that provides us numbers on a routine basis. They audit our ad campaigns every year. I provide that report in our Q1 packet for the quarterly submissions to the city. But by and large, the sort of numbers speak for themselves, but I'm always skeptical of numbers. It's more about the trend lines, and we've maintained a solid trend of performance and overall sort of engagement in our campaign in the 5 years that I've been here. And always have a glowing report from them. Again, we provide that entire report to you guys in that packet. And if you guys ever do have in-depth questions for that team, they're available for any call as well on that. And I'd be remiss to say, again, not covered within the media scope of the contract, but PR has become a very, very big tool for us, especially in a market our size. I mentioned I came from Springfield. My advertising budget was about what the overall budget for Visit Topeka is when I was running that operation. We didn't need as much sort of guerrilla sort of mindset in what we do, but we've adopted that very well, and PR has been an invaluable tool for us. So we contributed substantially to matching the National Endowment for the Arts in 2024 for the Brown v. Board activations that we had. And we pulled from marketing from that. Those are advertising dollars that helped us to do that, but we were able to spin that into national coverage. So this was a great example of 3 minutes on Good Morning America, which if you've ever tried to buy airtime on Good Morning America, it would be very cost prohibitive for us to do. But we were able to turn that investment into real impact in the community that was then newsworthy enough that they just covered it for us for free. And that's the great team of our great work of our PR team, both internally and our vendors, Violet PR out of New Jersey, former Kansas residents that work with us on an annual basis. And it's not a rarity for us to have that kind of coverage. Usually on an annual basis, we have about 2 or 3 significant portions of national coverage. And in the 10 years that I was working in Springfield, I would have killed to have. So it just shows that we're doing more with less, and we're doing it in a way that's really newsworthy and groundbreaking in some instances. Mentioned Mike and Melissa contributing to our overall sales. Obviously, Melissa's work on the group side has been relationship building and making sure that we're well prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that you guys have presented to us with the Hotel Topeka and that eventual deal. And keeping those plates spinning has been very important to that. In fact, in the years you guys have been working on this, she's been pursuing certifications with some of these groups that we feel like are going to be very impactful on this one. So she's now a certified meeting planner on a national basis and a certified religious meeting planner, which we feel like is a good market for us to be pursuing as well, with some of the heritage assets that we have to highlight throughout the region. But sports has really done well for us. We announced publicly this year that we had a 5-year contract renewal with the Kansas Kids Wrestling event that we hosted at Stormont-Vail Event Center. There was real competition for that, in particular out of Wichita, who was able to host that during the pandemic when we were closed. They went to a casino down there and were able to hold it. The board had also changed over quite a bit, had a heavy Wichita contingent. So the fact that we were able to land this piece of business and have such a really great experience with them this year and moving forward, they spend $2 million a year when they're in town, and we've got them for another 5 years. So that's a $10 million direct impact just from spending on that group that we were able to secure because of all the work that's being done, not only with the hotel, but the event center and beyond. And with our family assets coming back online, in particular, what's happening in Gage Park, with the State History Museum, and everything in between with the library and all of that, when we see events like this that aren't just sporting events, but they're youth-based sporting events, we have a lot to offer these groups beyond our facilities. And we can offer experiences and packages in a way that it really separates us from our competitors. And we're quickly becoming positioned as a wonderful family destination across the board for families in athletics and everything in between, which I'm very proud of as a parent in this community. Not only are we building for our guests, we're building for our locals and giving our children the opportunity to be adjacent and participate in this level of competition without ever leaving Topeka as a point of pride for us. It's not just at the lower level. We had a really great event with the Junior College Indoor National Track and Field Championships that we hosted here a few years back. This is an image from the podium there of one of the medal ceremonies. Incredible event, by the way. There were a few national record attempts at that event. So you think of junior college, you think maybe it's not as competitive. It is incredibly competitive and was a great way to highlight and showcase Topeka and the region. These were all recruitable athletes for the D1 schools who made the trip to Topeka to watch this event. So you walk in and see track and field powerhouses like Iowa and Tennessee. And I remember the Iowa coach coming in and looking at this facility and asking his assistant why they didn't have that in Iowa. So it's very, very great partnership. In fact, it was such a good relationship. They're coming back for 2 more championships with us starting next year. Correct, Mike? And a lot of these things, obviously Mike Bell with our sports commission and our VP of sports sales has driven a lot of this work, and the relationships have really paid off for us. The team is either directly responsible or supporting about 30 to 35,000 rooms a year in this market so far in this contract period. We're a little behind this year, but we are closing the gap rather rapidly on some potentials on there. So within this contract period, I can safely say that we will have contributed 93,000 rooms back on direct sales in support of our sales offices within this contract period. I mentioned the Sports Commission. This was something new that we started at the beginning of this contract period. Again, because sports have been so important to us, the Visit Topeka board can only get so big. And if you've ever tried to maintain a quorum with a 25-member board, it can be fun. But this was very important. We needed more voices, not only at the venue level, at the high levels, but at the coaches level, at the player development level, at the youth development level. And we've been able to put that in and have that running now for a couple years. And that branding and that effort has allowed us to build those relationships with our national touring, national events. But not only that, but giving back to the community. And Mike and that board have fundraised to make sure that we can help local teams buy shoes and buy equipment and buy gear. So not only are we hosting high-level competition, but we are fostering high-level competition within our community to make sure that we remain competitive as we host these things and bring them to our community. We also, not necessarily mission creep on this one, but we were asked to step in and help out with the Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame this year. And Mike ran that banquet on behalf of that organization on a volunteer basis. And we're going to continue to work with them to make sure that we're not only developing our youth into great players by bringing opportunities to Topeka for them to be great and impact our local economy that way, but when they are great, that we recognize that and that those become the role models for our youth moving forward. And to be in that room with those folks who've accomplished wonderful things in athletics and see them contributing back now as members of our community and to be celebrated that way was an incredible point of pride for our team this year. Speaking of points of pride, this was alluded to by previous speakers. We do what we can. It's not only about promoting things, it's about making sure we have great products and great experiences across the board that make us appealing as a destination and as a place to live. We invest in community events such as the Fiesta Topeka, the concert series that was brought up by Pedro earlier, but additionally, the Day of the Dead celebrations that they resuscitated on behalf of the community last year. We've financially supported that 2 years now. The air shows, big and small, we look for places to make sure that if this is an event that is going to grow, that is going to have a potential for contributing to overnight visitation in the community and make us a great place to live, work, and play, that we've made those efforts, including things like this year. We were happy to work with our Balloon Glow folks this year. Just great images. We helped bring back the Indian Mela to the community over the last couple years, and they had a wonderful celebration in downtown Topeka this year that we financially supported. And then I threw this in there. I did not take this photo. This is actually taken by Jessica Moreno on our team, on our downtown team. This was the fight night we had at Evergy Plaza, just to really show, I mean, first off, that lightning bolt is dramatic and wonderful, but to show the real impact of the community when it gathers and what it can gather for. Contact sports, bat and ball sports, all of it. You know, we have a real opportunity to be doubling down and growing our economy through these things while supporting everyone, and that is certainly where we are heading moving forward. So moving forward, in summary here, because I know I've taken up a lot of time, we have a board-approved strategic plan that is a 2-year extension of what we had to put it in line with Momentum 27 as the community takes on their Momentum 2031, 2032 plan at some point over the next year. We want to make sure that we were adjusting ourselves based on that as well. So right now we have sort of 4 core tenets. We've talked about destination development being one of them. Hotel Topeka is inclusive within that, but just in addition to the projects we're talking about here, things we've been supporting, advocating for on a routine basis, Constitution Hall down the street, which is looking fantastic, by the way, as that comes online and will be a great asset for us for America 250 as we program the avenue for that. The Evergy Plaza expansion, the ice rink work that we saw just this week with that security benefit contribution is fantastic, and we're gearing up for that in 26. The potential for air service at Forbes Field is massive for us, and we're working very closely with Curtis and the team at MTAA and have contributed some financial considerations to help support those routes as well. We discussed the hotel and the conference center, essential for our group market. The Jayhawk Theatre restoration, the Kansas Children's Discovery Center, which hats off to Danae and that team for taking that thing from 15,000 square feet to 31,000 square feet with an exhibition space that I know I can fit a T-Rex into, and I wouldn't have had that 3 years ago when we tried that and used the Overland Station. The Kansas Museum of History opening, I mean, that is amazing. When your exhibits could be exhibits in a museum themselves because they haven't been touched since '85, for them to take the work on and really do a significant renovation of this is fantastic. Talk about the event center and its continual enhancement, including this year, the commission putting sport court flooring in their budget, which has already been acquired, which is why now we're going to have 140 volleyball teams in January competing in Topeka as a result of that as well. The zoo is constantly moving earth. If you've been out to see their Tiger Trails exhibit, it's going to be fantastic, but the amount of work Christina and her team are doing is wonderful. TPAC, which you guys have oversight over, which I get to work with your father on. Tuck is a wonderful board member for us. I'll be the chair of that organization next year. I'm the chair like this year, but the final stages of that renovation are in place, and that's going to help us remain competitive and bring additional top-tier performing arts to this community. And of course, Westridge Mall and what that represents for us, and the entire Menninger Hill development as that comes online, could be incredibly, in fact, not only impactful, but transformative for us. So, outside of all that, we double down on community pride. We're proud to say the word Topeka and put that in our marketing. We're going to work with the community to make sure that we have a strong marketing presence moving forward. We are focused on organizational funding above and beyond the transient guest tax. There's a lot of people that benefit from the tourism activity, and that's why we build cooperative agreements where we can. And of course, sports and leisure programming, we'll continue our investments there throughout the remainder of this strategy plan, and then make sure that as the community gets their input on Momentum 20 next, that we're in line with that as well. So those are my remarks. We do a lot, so I had to say a lot. I try to get through it very quickly, but I'm ready and willing to answer any questions or comments or concerns you will have.
Okay.
Chair,
Go ahead, Christina.
Sean, that was a lot of information.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I only saw you swallow twice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't going to say this, but I am, because I think it needs to be said, because I am always pretty quiet when it comes to GTP and you know, the umbrella organizations or whatever. But I just want to say this out loud, with the USA Olympic Boxing and Summer Festival that we were so close to getting, we both saw, John and I both saw the back workings of how you guys do what you do. And I don't reap a lot of praise on anything, but I'm just saying that you guys really kicked ass. You know, the way that Molly and you set up that meeting so quick before you even knew what we were going to be saying. And then in a handful of days, with possibly having the potential to get that here in Topeka, and what Mike Bell was able to do was kind of like mind-blowing, because it was so quick, it was so coordinated, it was moving in so many different directions to try to make this deal work. And I think that we all know, you know, a couple of things that kept it from happening, but we also know what the possibilities are for bringing it here in 2 years. And I truly believe once those 2 years are gone, which we're going to keep, you know, working in that realm in between those 2 years, that this can be another sports event that we can hopefully see, maybe not a permanent home, but a relatively consistent home, and the economic benefit that that will bring. So with that said, I want you to know it helped me understand the inner workings, how a clock works when you open the watch, when you open the back, and see all the movement, and it was impressive. So I'm not going to take any more time up, but I do want to say, I do want to set up a meeting with you, because there's other things I'd like to talk with you in the way of culture. And with the resuscitation of the Dia de Muertos, that's wonderful to see, because the society that I had for 5 years made that a truly vibrant entity across the entire city. So it's good to see the resuscitation, and that's one thing I'd like to talk with you about. So thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Sure.
Thank you.
Spencer? We're good? Okay, well, let's move on to the renewal of the contract.
Thank you, Chair. I see that we're past our time, so I will be mercifully brief. This is simply a contract for an additional 3 years for Visit Topeka. To be completely transparent, we went ahead and put together an entire contract. Last year, it was a one-page amendment that basically said, we're going to renew it for last 3 years ago, it was a one-page amendment that said we're going to renew for 3 years. But what we did was we put the full contract together. This will basically give Visit Topeka 90% of that 5% base TGT with the carve-out for Hotel Topeka. The Hotel Topeka, which is now an 8% TGT, will, anything above the base year, which was the TGT that Hotel Topeka generated this year in 2025, that base will go to Visit Topeka. Anything above that will go to the city of Topeka to reimburse itself for Hotel Topeka expenses. And there are performance measures that are incorporated into this as Exhibit A. Staff fully supports the renewal. Visit Topeka does knock it out of the park for us, so completely support them and would respectfully ask for your approval of this contract.
Okay. Christina or Spencer, do you have any questions on the contract?
Nope.
I do not.
I read it, made sense. I would
Okay.
move to approve.
Okay, then
Second.
we've got a motion and a second, and those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. No one against, so we'll move this forward to the council. And I believe, any public comment? Nope, seeing none.
Hey, Braxton, will this be on the, first meeting in December? Probably not next week, right?
No, we can't get it on next week. There's a 2-week we try to get it on for the 3rd, which I believe you're going to be there at the 3rd, so
Yes.
it makes sense. We will shoot for the 3rd to get it on. Because Sean will be doing a presentation to the entire council on December 3rd.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I can shorten that, by the way, if you'd like.
If you don't,
Probably have
Dobler
to.
will throw something at you.
Christina or Spencer, do you have anything else? Okay, then this meeting is adjourned.